All right, traders, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing an AMC review and the overall stock market and how it's affecting AMC. Now, if you want to get a little bit more deeper dive into how AMC moves, the overall stock market and things that are affecting the underlying value of stocks that you're trading, let's break it down. Now, this is not going to be your conventional, regular, degular AMC video, specifically from me. So when we go into this, on the past few days, as you've seen, I've been watching options, and just overall getting my predictions based from the value of option contracts. However, we need to talk about the base of the economy and things that were said this week that were very concerning, but also prove and just keep pushing the narrative of a very, very rigged economy, starting with banks. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at AMC. And yes, in my opinion, I think actually Dave Marino on Twitter, he commented about this being in a descending wedge. This is a 4-hour chart. Now, USG had a little bit of breakout down there, but in my opinion, still operating in that wedge formation. This is typically a bullish reversal type signal looking at this. However, I did mention if you break below that 19.5 range, you most likely come down to that 17 region. That's still my opinion. However, if you come out sideways, if you keep stagnating, if you get some type of action going, let's go to the 15-minute, and you just stagnate over time, pushing up, in my opinion, that is bullish and most likely leads to a breakout trying to push back to 26, 27. And I'll go over exactly why, like these areas, things like that. But what we need to talk about is being careful and being aware for your investments over the next few weeks, because I think there is definitely a lot of rigged behavior here in the market. Now, looking here, we've saw the Nasdaq and SPY have some really weird movement over the past few days. And really on Friday, in my opinion, that was complete nonsense. Some of the craziest trading we have ever seen in the market, period. That's my opinion. I think it was totally rigged. I cannot believe what happened on Friday took place. Now, what we saw was this. You saw an immediate push back up from open. So you had a little bit of a gap down to 461. You pushed back up to 464.5 with relatively no volume. And then you continue to push down to 460, which I was totally gung-ho about. Assumed that was going to happen. And it did happen. So, but then at the end of the day, something weird happened. You had this immediate buyback to 464, 465. Now, this is where things are going to get interesting. When you're looking at the economy right now, a really big indicator to tell you how the economy is going to move or the way indexes are going to move is going to be yields, because this is ultimately one of the key factors that comes into inflation and overall shows, is inflation hitting, are yields going up, things like that. So just food for thought, since the beginning of the year, this is what we're going to do. This is a lower time frame, but it'll give you a good visual. Since the beginning of the year, we have overall seen, since the beginning, we'll say 0.27%, 0.28% round up, 0.27% move to the upside on yields, 18% right there. So pretty substantial move, decent move on yields. In comparison, going back to December, from the overall December high to wherever you pushed up to the high, from the December open to the high, you only had about an 8% move, or 7.8%, right? So over double on this other move that we already have through 15 days, 2 weeks of trading in the new year. What's going on? What's happening? Now, looking at that, coinciding with SPY, Nasdaq, things like that. Since the beginning of the year, this red line represents the beginning of the year. Ignore the lines. None of that really matters right now. You can also see that SPY has traded down to that local low of down 4%, which for SPY is pretty substantial. Right now, sitting at down about 2.4% as we speak right now. Going to the Nasdaq, and I'm going somewhere with this, so please just hold your horses. Just wait a second, boys. And going from the Nasdaq, from that monthly open, you also have a very interesting point of view here. From that range, all the way down. Come on, give me my target. All the way down, roughly to the lows, 7% on the Nasdaq. Right now, you're sitting down 4%. Still a pretty steep move. In my opinion, even though at the end of the week, this was very important looking at this. You had a bull flag forming all week long on U.S. yields and bonds. Very bullish in my opinion, and you got to break out at the end of the day like you should have. Now we're going to go into where it gets manipulated on the market and how this affects AMC. Okay, so bear with me. Now, this was a comment from the beginning of the week, if you will. JP Morgan CEO, if you don't know, banks are starting to have their earnings, and earnings season is starting right now, and things could get really bad. But if you're looking at JP Morgan, in the beginning of the week, he says, I think we could have more than 4 rate hikes, but he didn't go into specifics, right? Because I think he knew if the market got pushed down, we'll look at banks, and I was talking about banks all week being so bullish. If he knew that if he put a little bit more volatility and kind of spoke the truth, that it could affect his earnings in a negative way. So he goes on this long report, yada, 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 being really good for banks, interest rates going up, upside being good. Then he comes out the day he has earnings and announces this, that he expects to have 6 to 7 rate hikes. And he said he would be shocked if there was only 4 because the economy would absorb it and it wouldn't really affect the economy, yada, yada, yada. From this news of this being pushed out, U.S. yields went absolutely crazy. As you can see, they shot straight up. For instance, JP Morgan's earnings were already trashed, so he was like, I might as well just spew it all out, spill the beans now, and JP Morgan fell from 168 all the way down to 157. A pretty substantial drop when you look at banks. They typically don't get these huge downward moves in one day. Going over to AMC, what I want to do is just look at what's happened since the beginning of the year on the overall monthly level and how you have moved down. As you can see, from that level, 27 all the way down here, roughly a 28% move on the downside. That is terrible. That is rough. But you can see that it's coinciding with the overall indexes. If we go, let's look at another stock. I don't want to look at Apple for some of these other ones because they've had pretty substantial runs, but we'll look at a medium cap. We'll look at Microsoft, and Microsoft has still performed. Honestly, had some really strong bounces. AMC hasn't had these good bounces, in my opinion. If you're looking here, Microsoft, you're down roughly 10%, 9.4%. So you're still down heavy, and you're getting stocks like Moderna and all these other ones that are more volatile, and they're really getting slaughtered. But if you go into more of the volatile plays, you can see this continue to play out. Just recommend just go look at the monthly, draw it down, and just see overall how you have moved. And you'll see it's pretty substantial to the downside. Now, what I want to say regarding this and people talking about AMC and getting really emotional with it. Now, when you're on the channel, I recommend not taking anything I say as a personal attack or emotional whatsoever, because I'm just trying to share the truth and give information to help understand how stocks move, not just AMC. Because if you look at how I trade AMC, how I look at AMC, you can take those strategies and move it on to other stocks if you want and try to trade those other stocks. But if you want to just trade AMC all day, every day, so be it. I'm not going to knock you. All love. Now, recommend following on Twitter, things like that, because I'll post updates on key news factors coming out and things like that. However, if you really want to better yourself and get a better understanding, I really recommend diving into these videos, specifically even on AMC, because I'm breaking it down so you can understand other stocks moving and things like that. So looking at AMC, where's the bull case? Can indexes go up? Now, personally, in my opinion, I think indexes should get slaughtered. I think they should get wrecked. I think there's no reason for indexes to go up. I think yields are pushing back to these local highs, and they want to go higher. That's my opinion. I think yields want to and most likely will go higher. That just makes logical sense, but we do know right now you can kind of throw logic out of the window and make money in the market. So, we're going to just stay here for a second. At the end of the day, you saw a pretty bullish push on Nasdaq, things like that. And looking at AMC, in my opinion, with the big bullish push that you got on AMC at the end of the day from Nasdaq, SPY, Dow, all of those, you should have seen a push back above 21 bucks. It should have happened. It didn't happen. This comes back, and I don't want to be the guy that's crying wolf or screaming, manipulation from the rooftops, but it's being apparent, very, very apparent in the market that they are holding you down on these key levels. And if you're going to get some options of the money, you might get some next week, which we're going to get into right now. But I don't think it's going to be enough to cause you to have a gamma squeeze like you really, really wanted to, just based on where you're at right now. So it's not me being negative. You're going to have to watch for more options opening up. March is going to be pretty key, maybe even June. We'll look at those as well. But this is just my opinion on how the market's moving and how AMC is going to continue to move. But we saw even with JP Morgan. Now, you can say this is not manipulation. You can say it's just him protecting his company. I don't know. I think it's pretty clear. He waits till after his earnings call to announce that he thinks there's going to be 6 or 7 interest rate hikes. And I mean, come on. I mean, how is that not negatively going to affect the entire economy? How is that? You can see since he announced that news, rates went bonkers. The rates were up roughly 5% on the day on Friday, which rates typically do not move 5% if you know anything about them, unless you have some pretty terrible news. So just so you know, it's not just AMC being affected this way. It's the entire economy. So I think people that are pushing this idea that it's only AMC being manipulated, there's only AMC that there's just shady behavior on, it's the whole entire market. And I know that's where Unusual Wills and Trey and some of these other guys are trying to highlight as well, but it's important that you realize it's the whole game right now. Now you can make money playing the game. However, you shouldn't be naive to just think it's one stock. That's where it gets ridiculous. Now looking at AMC and looking at options going into next week, this is what we're going to look at. Opening up the week, look on the call side. I'm going to tell you right now, you only got options really sitting at, my opinion, $12, $10 right now that are extremely safe. I think those will hold up no matter what. I don't think you get pushed below $12, $10. There's probably no way that happens unless AMC announces that Adam Aaron is running a Ponzi scheme or something. So that's probably not going to happen. That's a joke. Relax. So going into the week we're at now, at the money, this is not surprising. You have quite a bit of open interest going in here at 26K, which is good, and then more volume flowing in. But this is where it gets scary. Looking over at the put side, you have 35,000 of open interest with another 13,000. So they're beating you when it comes to the put side, and they're pushing more in. This leads me to believe that you're going to see a fight if they're not just going to let you run up. However, I would agree, AMC looks decent. You remounted the daily. You could easily start to push back up to this $22 to $23 region. And if you break above this, I do believe you push towards 27. However, looking at the options, I think it's clear that they're going to put up a fight, just like we mentioned last week, going on and on and on. It was clear looking at the options tape that they were going to continue to fight you, okay? So I want to make that very clear. And then looking over here as well, you can go down to $23, another 20,000. Just sitting there, more flowing in. So they're really flooding the volume on the put side right now. And then going over to AMC, and you really want to pay attention to open interest and how the options have been sitting there and where they're at now. You have 25 and I had 22. So 25 would be pretty decent for you to get in. But in my opinion, you're going to have to get a substantial move to really see a big push, which right now doesn't seem likely looking at what's happening here on the tape. However, when we come back to here, this is why I'm so adamant on talking about indexes and things like that, because indexes, in my opinion, yes, I've been wrong saying that AMC follows Nasdaq, SPY, and Dow per se, with the saying that you're going to get the push up with them, which I think if you're going to get a push up on AMC, you're going to have those indexes right now as well with you, unless you have some really crazy news. But in my opinion, it's clear that when Nasdaq and these other ones push down, AMC is obviously following. However, when they get the upside pressure, AMC isn't necessarily following. So I think that, yes, it is following indexes, but only to the downside. And then you have that selling manipulation kicking back in once you get to these key levels. So this isn't to hate, to shill, anything like that. I'm just trying to show people what's happening. Now, if we're looking at AMC right now, what's the good news? In my opinion, you're hitting the bottom of this wedge on the downside. Shout out Dave for posting this and pointing this out. You're hitting the downside of that. You're mounting the daily. That looks good. Looking at indexes, despite yields going crazy, besides the yields going up, they performed well. You did have an end of the day push. Granted, you're still red for the day. However, they did push up. SPY, they all ended up pushing up. Don't know why. Craziness. However, yes, they pushed up. So that is overall good news. So this things could possibly affect you in a positive way and get some pressure going into the end of this, quarter, into this, whatever it's going to be right now, with all these options expiring right there. So those are going to be cute. The very important things to look at, in my opinion. Those are going to be the things that I'd be watching over the next few days. However, I'm going to just point it out, and I got to tell you guys, if we're looking at the downside, I have two zones marked right now. The top zone, a lot bigger than the bottom zone. You have about 17.7 all the way down to about 16.44. Now, if we go back, and what I want to look at is the 4-hour really quick, just so I can give you a quick viewpoint of these guys. And I know this is a longer video, so please bear with me. You do have this gap down here, and AMC has been liking filling gaps, so I have to point that out. However, what I really like is that monthly level right here, $17, which I mentioned before we get the huge push to the upside. If you ever break $17, in my opinion, you run to 25, and then after that, it's off to the races after you break 25. So coming back down to 17 is going to be very big. If you don't believe me, go watch videos back from February, January of 21. Yeah, 2021. It's kind of crazy. That was 2021, but that's where it is. Now, after that, it's going to be obviously this 14.5 region, which everyone remembers that being such a major resistance and pain to get above. Those are what I'm looking at. Those are the key supports looking right now. And those are just to say, if you break below these lows here at 19.5, I do believe that pressure will kick into here. And I don't really know how you're going to react from the $17 region. I just marked the next support so you have it. People are going to continue to ask me, and they're going to continue to say, where's the next level, this, that, this, that. So I'm just highlighting key areas that I'm watching. But I will say right now that I think 17, this is going to be a huge level. And just I think once that gap gets filled, I'll be pretty happy if it does, because I think that this will be a local bottom. I don't think 14.5 gets tested, but it is possible. I would not like to see 14.5 tested because there's a chance you could just go straight through it. That's my personal opinion. Now, at the end of this video, I want to say I'm not going to talk about Adam Aaron and his shares or anything like that. People want to say I'm being a shill, yada, 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 whatever it is. It's not me being a shill. I have nothing positive to say about Adam Aaron. I've said this since the beginning of the year of 2021 that if AMC pops, Adam Aaron and the company are going to sell as many shares as possible. Why? Because it benefits the company. And that's not me being negative. That's me being honest. And guess what happened? Adam Aaron sold as many shares as he could possibly sell. Does that make him a shill? Does that make him a bad guy? No. That makes him a good CEO. That makes him doing the best thing for his company, like I said he would, right? That's not me to say that I'm right or anything like that, but I don't think it's... You shouldn't call Adam Aaron an ape, but you also shouldn't call him a shill. That's the point I'm trying to make here. He's doing what a CEO has to do. A CEO cannot root for a short squeeze. A CEO has to do what's best for their company, especially if they know they can't get any dilution if they need any more money down the road as well. So selling the shares was really his only option. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying, logically, what else did you expect? All right, traders, that's going to wrap up the video. If you get anything out of this, please like, subscribe. Helps out the channel tremendously. More videos coming out. If you have questions, comment down below. The Twitter link is down below, and the Discord for every single trade, the trading bot, everything like that is down below as well. More content coming, and remember, we run the market.
Don't got enough to go cop it. I'm about to take off like a rocket. Houston, we might have a problem, but that don't mean money will solve them.